Island Vibez and Tropix International Sounds and special guest checking in virtually on the Island Vibez Celebrity Hotline. Shaggy, what's going on, brother?
Blessings and manners and respect every time, brother. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. So how have you been handling and holding up during this pandemic that we've been having?
Well, I'm just like everybody else, man. You know, at the end of the day, you can't worry about something you can't fix. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm just trying to survive and stay positive and stay mentally healthy, because this is a lot for a lot of people's mental health. You know what I mean? It's easy through these times to fall into depression and anxiety, and because the negative is all around. You know what I mean? It's on your phone, it's on the news, it's outside your gate. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. So I just try to to look at all the positives in my life and really focus on things that make me happy. You know what I'm saying? And I had to, 2020 is either going to be one of the greatest years or one of the greatest year or one of the worst years. I mean, it started off with COVID that was pretty bad, and whatever, it's all about lessons at the end of the day. You might look at it as a loss, but you got to turn the L the other way and treat it as a lesson. And what that taught me was you might think your life could be absolutely perfect, and in the flip of a switch, everything changes. You know, what COVID did was slow you down. You know, if you're somebody like me that really work and go hard, it slows you down to make you sit down and pay attention to the smaller things, things like laundry and cooking, and your loved ones, and then of course the protests, really showed me that we the people are still in charge. Elected officials are elected officials. You know what I'm saying? And there's an old saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. And
we should hold our leaders and our elected official accountable. And I think this is what this is. And I'm very proud of the younger generation. I don't think we'll see eradication of racism in my time or your time, but I think the future is bright. I think these kids they're not buying into this. The internet has narrowed down ignorance. There's a great amount of ignorance and fake news on the internet, but it also gives you, if you're smart enough, you can sift through the crap and realize, it just gives you a bit of a light into things that you would normally add. They'll pull the curtains over things, and the internet pulls the curtain off so you can see what's really happening, and try to read through it.
This is one of the great things about you and the positivity that you bring, because early in the year, you heard a lot of people saying, throw 2020 away, but you're saying, turn that L around, make it a lesson. And it's one of the things I've been telling a lot of people, which is, those who survive this time are the ones that are going to thrive when this is over.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things that has changed. If you notice that it has actually changed, there's going to be a new norm. Let's feel this Zoom situation with you and me is a thing of the future. It's only going to get better. They're going to be more advanced platforms like this coming up. That's just what life is. That's really what it's about. And there's a new norm. You're going to see a leveling off. You're going to see people start spending a lot more quality time. There's a lot of people who used to live in these little boxes because they have to work, and you find out that your work becomes so much of your life that I have a song on my album say, I work hard to make a living, so focused on making a living, I forgot how to live,
Yeah.
And you sit down and look at these things, and you stop and be like, maybe we should, take another look at it. You know what I mean? So these are new norms that we're going to come in. People are going to start living a different quality of life while still getting their bills paid.
Very true. I think quality of life is actually going to be a lot higher on people's list of achievements from here on. Any new hobbies you picked up, or any new skills that you discovered besides doing laundry and cooking during the quarantine?
Not really new skills. It's really just brushing up on old skills. And I say cooking was one of them. I really started to enjoy the art of cooking. Um, and you know, as things opened back up, and I got back, especially when I was in New York, because I was stuck in New York for about 8 weeks, just doing things by myself. And then now I'm back here, you know, where, you know, there's chefs and staff at my home here in Jamaica. So, you know, I'm not by myself forced to do it anymore, you know, but I certainly enjoyed it.
Well, you know, the
Yeah.
ladies are going to want to know, what was Shaggy's specialty dish to cook when he had to cook for himself?
I cook. I do lots of stuff, man. I do. You know, I like fish. You know, I mean, a good red snapper.
Mm.
You know, there's different things. Curry chicken. I'm really, you know, put a couple of things in that. There's different vibe to it.
No,
Yeah.
talking about skills, one of the skills that I've noticed you've had is taking this Hot Shot album and re-releasing it.
We did a Hot Shot in 2000. That was the original Hot Shot that came out, and that, you know, that was the diamond seller. I think right after that, like a year after that, the record company released a remix album, Hot Shot the Remixes, and that was it until now, when it's been 20 years, and you have a lot of songs like Angel and Was Me, and these songs that were recurring on radio that you know, the label asked me if I would be interested in doing a remaster. I didn't feel like doing a remaster because everybody does that. So I came up with a different idea and said, why don't I just take 5 of the most streamed songs on there and reproduce them? New vocal, new production. And the reason for doing this is there's a lot of young kids that are doing TikToks to like It Wasn't Me. And, you know, a lot of these songs like Angel and Love Me are so recurrent on radio. Like, you know, why didn't I just let them experience, you know, I'm trying to let them experience what we experienced in 2000, but in their own style, in their own vibe, you know what I mean? So I experimented with like Afro beats and like trap and like reggaeton and like, you know, all of these art forms, and that literally came from dancehall anyway, you know what I'm saying? So dancehall and reggae, if you listen to trap is just what King Tubby's was doing with dub. It's just a hybrid version of it, you know what I'm saying? Reggaeton is just a hybrid version of what dancehall is, because it came from dancehall. Afrobeats is heavily influenced through the dancehall culture, you know, just the color of it and everything. And hip hop, you know, through Cool Herc came from the early stages of toasting on dancehall. So, you know, it kind of gave me the passport to kind of experiment with all these different genres on this. And once I started to do that, I really liked how it sounded. And so I started to do that to other tracks like Mr. Bombastic, Old Carolina, you know, Strength of a Woman, Hey Sexy Lady. And at that point I was like, wow, I really liked how these turned out. And then I just decided to put 4 new songs on it, you know, the Primavera with me and Sting, you know, which was a track we started on the 44876 and just kind of finished it here. Songs like, we ended up doing like, you know, Buckingham Palace, Peter Touch, one of my favorite, you know, Electric Avenue, Eddie Grant, you know, which is massive song. And of course, Caribbean Plans. So we did that. So it's like a journey of Shaggy through dancehall. And then the new songs is like a window of what's to come from Shaggy, you know what I'm saying? And it's really a celebration of that journey, you know, through Hot Shot 2020.
You've always done things a little differently, just in the simple fact of the first thing I thought when I heard Hot Shot 2020 is, okay, remastered, that's great. And then, but to hear you tell the reason why you didn't just remaster it, because that's the first thing that shocked me when I listened to the album. I'm like, wait a minute, something sounds different here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and I really love the new sounds of it. And I'm a fan of new sound, new artists. I collaborate with a lot of young artists, like on Love Me. You know, I put a young artist by the name of Amber Lee on there. You know, he's an amazing singer. You know, and if you look at my track record of doing songs, you know, I did Wasn't Me with a young singer by the name of Rik Rok, which was a young unknown. I did Summertime Angel and Big Up with an unknown artist called Rayvon. You know what I mean? I also did I Need Your Love with Mohambi and Fady, which are 2 unknown artists also. You know what I mean? And now I'm back with probably the biggest record of the summer with Banana with an unknown artist called Conkarah. You know what I mean? So I really I don't really look at collaborations on who's hot. I really look at collaboration on who I could see has work ethic, has a star quality, and could really contribute something to it. And you know, it's kind of what I bring to the table of this and bringing these new producers. Sometimes it's also on the production side, you know, using people like Shane Husang and Dave Ade and you know, Chippy. You know, these are young production guys. You know what I mean? That come with really great ideas. So I incorporate that and merge that with what the knowledge that I have. And so these are the things that I really focus on. I like doing it because it, you know, I don't like cookie cut, and I get bored easily. You know, so it keeps me moving.
One of the things that you talked about, one of the records and one of the collaborations, Conkarah, who has been bubbling up for a while, but you've put him on the map in this sense, and you guys just set a whole nother record. I mean, you're constantly breaking records, but you just set a whole nother record. #1 in Mexico with Banana.
Yeah. First time for dancehall, really. Yeah, #1 in Mexico. It's been 4 weeks #1 in the Netherlands. We looked at the trajectory yesterday on the chart of it, on what's going on globally, and just from streaming to TikToks to Shazam to YouTube, this thing, the trajectory is still going this way. You know, even though we've been having some resistance from radio in the US for whatever reason. But I don't think this is something you could stop. This is just one of those records that it's magic. You know, and you know, I've always just depended on my ear, you know. And when I did this song first, I when the song was brought to me first, I was apprehensive in doing it because of the fact that I did this already in 1996 on the Bombastic album. I did a version of it, so I didn't want to do it again. And then Conkarah was, you know, wanted me on it, and Martin, who was my manager at the time, wanted me on it, and I brought it to a fellow by the name of Steven Greenberg. They asked me to produce the record. I ended up producing the music. And once I started to produce over the music and put the drums in and all that, I was like, wow, I really like where this was going. I really liked it. And then I brought it to Steve Greenberg, who is from S-Curve Record, who Let the Dogs Out. And I thought this would be a perfect record for you because this falls right into that. And he's like, oh, I love this. You know, Let the Dogs Out sold me over 5 million records.
Yep.
You know, it was a massive anthem. You know, I said, well, I like anthem records, and he's like, well, I need you on the record. I was like, I didn't feel like that, but I need you on the record, or else I'm not putting it out. So I ended up going on the record. It's the best decision I ever made. So thanks to Conkarah, and you know, thanks to Martin, and thanks to Steve for talking some sense into me.
Well, you know, like you said, there's been some resistance in U.S. radio, but that's not new to you. And you've done, you've broken that barrier. I mean, but with different sounds. I mean, Old Carolina was such a different sound at the time, and then even It Wasn't Me. And I was watching this thing on Vice, the story of It Wasn't Me.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this, you've got to see it. You've got to go check it out. It's an amazing watch, just to see the breakdown of how this song almost didn't make it to the album.
Yeah, it was the last song that went on, and you know, kudos to Sting International, myself, who we fought really hard to try and get it. We ended up giving that record away. It's part of the story they didn't tell. We had Wayne and Wanda sing it. We had Tonto and Devante. I tried to give the record away to so many other people. But you know, they didn't, you know, what's for Caesar's for Caesar, man, you know what I mean? And the universe. So even though I say this to artists, even though the powers that be might come in, it still boils down to the universe. And the universe has a plan for you. There's nothing that could derail it. You know what I mean? You just gotta believe in karma, and believe in treating people well, and believe in living a good life. It will work out in your way, and things for the most part will do well for you. You're gonna have bad days and bad times, but you can't turn those losses. You got to turn them into lessons. You know what I mean?
You done an album that the label thought, oh, there's no single on this album, to 10 million records sold. That is so unbelievable in the first place. You know, it's an amazing story.
But the thing for me is, because I came into this as dancehall, and I always came into it as a hybrid. So I've been criticized for being not authentic, you know, or by purists. And there's such thing as pure music. It doesn't exist.
Right.
It's seven notes: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We're not inventing the wheel here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There's different feels and vibes to the things that make it different. You know, but there's no such thing as even reggae. There's no pure reggae. You know, you look at Bob Marley's music, you know, which is now the staple and the standard of what pure reggae would be. And if you look at, it's been documented on YouTube. You check that video out with Chris Blackwell explaining how Bob Marley made some of these music. And, you know, he brought the original drum and bass and then had session musicians, you know, British and American session musicians overdub and play on some of these sounds, which is now the standard and the blueprint of what, you know, pure reggae music is. So nothing is pure. Everything is a hybrid, you know, and I've always been the guy that does hybrid. And anything that I do, because I'm dancehall and there's no format for it and there's no record company who's going to put real budget behind us. I knew that everything that I do, I had to do it 10 times better. I had to make records 10 times better. 10 times. I had to create these really super anthems. I had to prepare my mind to work 10 times harder than the average because I knew it wasn't a level playing field. You know what I mean? I knew I wasn't going to get the same amount of budget as your pop guy or your hip hop guy or your R&B guy gets, or, you know, I'm reggae. Why would they do that? There is no lane for it. There is no radio that supports it. There's, you know, clubs don't play it. It's how do you do that? And a lot of it is creating these hybrids and really going hard and creating these really catchy lyrics and arranging these music that will grab people's attention and bring them to that next level.
The makeup of a song is a lot more than those of us who are not musically inclined can even really grasp. And like I said, that story of It Wasn't Me kind of breaks a lot of that down as well too. But one of the things that I'd always heard about was that It Wasn't Me was broken out of Hawaii, and this kind of talked about it. Have you ever met Pablo Sato at any time?
Yeah, I met him. I met him when we went to Hawaii. You know, the record company, you know, dealt with him and all of that, you know what I mean? And he was a very, very intricate part. And what part of that story that you don't understand, not only was the guy that played It Wasn't Me, he was also the guy that played Angel.
Oh, wow. So he broke both of those.
He broke both records. Yeah, he broke both records. He broke both records. Maybe when they do the documentary on Angel, that would be another conversation.
Yeah. You
know, because ironically, the same person didn't like that song either. And it's amazing. He's made more money on things he didn't like than things he liked. It's ironic.
You know, speaking of making money on it, because I think you said on the end of that documentary was 11 people built a life off of that.
Oh, yeah.
And the question I have on that is Pablo one of those? Because, I mean, he was instrumental in this blowing up.
I would hope so. I would hope that the record company took care of him because they made a lot of money. Yeah. A lot of money, you know, and by right, he did their job for them. He did their job. My job is to promote the record and put the record out. You know what I mean? And be available to get records played on stations. You know what I mean? And get the record out there. That's why you partner with a record company. You know, but these guys, there's nobody in that building that believed in me. They called me so many names. They called me the banana boat guy. And it was crazy. That time we had those little, what do you call it?
The two ways?
No, two ways, right. The two ways. And they would be on there talking in the meetings. Why are we discussing this banana boat guy? Why are we having conversations about the coconut? I mean, these were rhetorics that was passed around the table because nobody understood it.
Right.
Nobody got it, you know, and Hans was this A&R that they just kind of threw him on our, I'll tell you one funny thing, when Hans became our A&R before that was a guy called Randy Jackson.
Not the Randy Jackson, is it?
The Randy Jackson. The Randy Jackson.
So you wouldn't have made it on American Idol, is what you're saying.
Randy and I were great friends. They fired Randy. Uh-huh. They fired Randy right as he took my project. And so this guy was the guy that replaced him, Hans, that you see on it. And he came in and it was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So the story gets deeper. The only thing is that Vice only had a a 20-minute documentary to deliver. So they couldn't tell as much of it as they could. So, but kudos to them. They did an amazing job at it. It was informative. It was entertaining. You know, I was informed. It was informative to me, and I know the story. That's how good a job. That's how good a job they did. So it was really good. You know, big up the Vice.
And I had one more question about It Wasn't Me, especially on this new Hot Shot 2020. Why did you replace Rik Rok with Rayvon on this version of it?
Two reasons. One is Rayvon is a active artist right now. He still put records out. He still tours. He's still on it. Rik Rok is kind of a retired artist. He lives in the Caymans. He's a Christian now, and so it just didn't. You know, it wouldn't make. And then Rayvon, the funny, when making a record, once Rik Rok wasn't, as you can tell from him, he wasn't supposed to be the singer on it. It was a demo vocal we ended up using when Hanse finished it. We actually tried Wayne Wonder, Rayvon, Notch from the Orange American, Tanto and Devante. All of these guys recorded this record. So Rayvon was one of the voices. And he sang it every day on stage for years because Rik Rok didn't tour with us anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. And Rayvon was the guy that really sang it every night. So it was easy for him to do. And it was convenient. He was there too. And, you know, he knew the song. It made sense. And then on Angel, a lot of people don't know that this Hot Shot 2020, a lot of it was done backstage. Sting's play The Last Ship. And what we did, I was there for the premiere and spent a week there with him in LA. And we just turned one of his dressing rooms into a studio. And so when I was recording Angel, he walked right in, you know, poured himself a gin and tonic and say, "Yo, let me sing that." And that's how it ended up happening. You know, Sting was instrumental in his album because it sounds like Electric Avenue was his idea. It's like, you know, he asked me to sing it at the Rainforest Fund, that concert that he does in New York with him and his wife, Trudy. It was her idea to actually sing the song. It was his idea for me to record it. You know, It's like, Shaggy, that's right. In your key, you should do it. And he was so right. It was such a smash.
You know, what's interesting to me is I'm on mix show calls with a lot of hip hop DJs quite a bit. And you hear them now asking for dubs and for dub plates. And yeah. This is another place where Shaggy has been instrumental in this because, of course, dub plates have existed in the dancehall culture for a long time. But I think you are probably one of the most instrumental in making it popular with the hip hop DJs because Mix Show Power Summit. I remember when they would go down and they would talk about going through the hotel. You would have everybody in the hallway and they come through, tell your name, and you would drop the dub plate for them. And so everybody came back with the dub plates. And that's now some of the other artists, hip hop artists, now doing it as well.
I miss those days of Mix Show Power Summit. You know, those are a lot of fun. Yeah, we used to there were a lot of DJs and they all wanted dub plates, and you know, that'd be okay, dub plate this evening at 7 p.m. and they'd be just, you know, lined up outside my dressing room and I'd be just knocking them out. These are some of the other things that we as dancehall had to do just to get an edge. Like I said, it wasn't a level playing field, you know. So we used whatever tools we had to get on radio, and nothing more to get a DJ to play a record than to put his name in the record.
Yeah, because they all played it.
It all worked.
One of the things I like to say is Caribbean people just do it different, and just even from doing drops, it's always different the way that the Caribbean artists have done it. So again,
it's you know, you got to put some character and some personality into it, and I mean, and get it going. And so it's a good vibe. Those are just some of the tools that we used. You know, the live performances was also a tool that we used. You know, and you just got to be an artist that really work really hard and show up on time and really smile and create friendship and relationships and really really try and maintain those relationships. You know what I mean? Because you need them. You know, you're not, even if you sell 10 million like me, you're still not guaranteed anything in this game.
Yeah,
you haven't made it. You still have to finesse those because there's no movement behind you. You're a one-man army. You know, Jay-Z or some of these guys, they could, you know, when they get to that level, could be like, okay, I'm not doing interviews anymore. Like Jay don't do interviews or Beyonce don't do it, and they'll be fine. They'll still do stuff because there's a whole movement behind them. You know, where the powers that be have to deal with. When it's, for me, it's just me. You know, It's me and Sean Paul. That's it. You know, and we've been fighting for years to try and get the movement a little bit bigger, you know, so that we have more successes. You know, much like what the reggaeton guys do, where they're forced to be reckoned with now. You know, their job could be a little bit easier now.
Yeah.
As artists, for them, artists coming up with it could be a little easier for them because there's such a precedence and a movement that's been set, and you know, people got to deal with it. It's like, hey, you ain't paying. Oh, you ain't gonna play this new popcorn. Well, we ain't gonna give you that Shaggy interview. Well, we
Right.
ain't gonna give you that Sean Paul. You know, by the way, Sean, you know, it's leverage. You know,
Yeah.
you could do that and to get other artists go on if you got a movement. I see the reggaeton guys go. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know, hey, we got, you know, you ain't gonna play Nicky Jam. Well, hey, you know, this J Balvin, you know, concert series we're gonna give you ain't gonna happen, bro. You know what I mean? You got, you know what I mean? That's what we need. You know what I
That
mean?
unity and that give and take to make it work. Yeah. Who are you
Make it
looking
work.
at, and who are you listening to musically now, of the next
I love
generation coming up?
I love a lot of new stuff, man. I love a lot of new stuff. I'm a fan of the new music that's out. You know, they have this thing called trap dancehall, which I'm a fan of it. And, you know, I'm in Jamaica. I think it needs to be tweaked and finessed a little bit more because we still have not yet seen numbers on that genre, that style of music. But being in Jamaica and I'm around it, it's been very niche, you know, and a lot of it has to do with the lyrical content of it and the language of it. You know, it's so raw patois, you know, that you got to be kind of really smart and intricate in how you write these records. You have just the right amount of patois in there and just the right amount of English to grab you. You know what I mean? You gotta know how to do it. And I think a lot of them get caught into the culture of Jamaica that they're just like, spitting it. And for us who are Jamaicans, we'll understand it. For you, it's like, and it just gets, you know what I mean? So, but I think once they figure that out and create that hybrid, you know what I mean, it will work. You know, I love people like Shensia. You know, I love what Coffee is doing. Vibes Cartel always does his thing. You know, Budget just dropped a new record. You know, one of the biggest problems is that 5 of the main artists in this game, you know, Beenie Man, Bounty Killer, Popcorn, Butcher Banton, and Vibes Cartel are kind of, they have a bit of a handicap in the sense that they can't travel. You know, they can't. So, you know, being live in concert, especially in the Americas and Canada, places like those, is tough.
Right.
That's what really helps us to make the music go. And a lot of them can't travel. I know Popcorn, you know, his thing is restricted in America, but for the rest of the world, he's okay. You know, Budget thing is restricted in America and the UK and, you know, a few other places. And Beenie Man and Bounty Killer is the same thing. You know, I mean, it's really heart wrenching in a way because these guys are the pillars of dancehall and will certainly give us that edge that I'm talking about to where we can bargain. You know?
It must have been a proud moment for you to watch the Beanie and Bounty verses.
The verses. Oh yeah. I was big on it. You know, I knew everything that was happening just in the planning of it. Big up to Sharon Burke, who was a really dear friend and really who put the whole thing together with Swiss, and it was great. You know, it was amazing, and it just shows you the power that these guys have and the power of the culture. This culture has been responsible for the blueprint of popular culture. You know, the Jamaican culture, that is. You know, and you know, everything that you see going on with Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Rihanna, that was Grace Jones, brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was Grace Jones. You know what I mean? Everything that you see, you look at rock music, you know, the greatest rock band in the world is U2, founded by Chris Blackwell. You know, the whole energy of everything that was there in the ear from that came from Jamaican music. Island Record was built into Jamaican culture and Jamaican music, you know, that housed such artists as Melissa Etheridge and, you know, all of these wonderful acts. Robert Palmer, all of these people that have made, you know, shaped the culture of rock music. Right. You know, the Rolling Stones, all these guys used to be in Jamaica, you know, and got their inspiration from it. So it is a part of the nucleus of popular culture.
Indeed. And, you know, speaking of the culture, I want you to keep pushing it forward. I know you're going to keep pushing strong and keep going on. From 10 million soul, you haven't slowed down one step. And here we are, Hot Shot 2020. The new album is out streaming everywhere. And, of course, you can always follow Shaggy at The Real Shaggy. That's D-I, Real Shaggy.
Real Shaggy. Yeah, The Real Shaggy. And you know, everybody, Banana is also on it. And I love Banana. Everybody's so happy doing it. I think that's what we need in this time. You know, everything is so negative. With a song like that, it really brings everybody together, all race, all color, all creed, all sexual orientation, everything. It just works. It's about positivity, smiles on people's faces, and bringing joy.
Yes, sir. Shaggy, appreciate you checking in. As always, always a pleasure talking to you. And I thank you for bringing that positivity, because there are a lot of folks out here in 2020 right now that need that positivity to know they can make it. It's
myself included.
Right around the corner.
Myself included. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All the best. God bless.
Easy.